Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Too big to fail? Is Duetche Bank on the brink? Chinese banks need 1.7 trillion to cover their bad debt, and Moody's finds that state pension funds are underfunded by 1.3 trillion this year and will grow to 1.8 trillion by 2017, and that's the bubble that no one's talking about. Let's start there, Maury. Underfunded pensions on all these states. It's incredible when you start to look at the actual numbers, and they're increasing. And where's the money coming from?
Well, having lived most of my life in Chicago, Chicago may be the worst example of what you were just talking about. And of course, that spreads around the state of Illinois because the bulk of the population of Illinois today is in the greater Chicago area. The downstate where you used to have the farmers and the coal miners, and that's gone.
And it's interesting you bring up Illinois because they're number one on the list of all the states. 280% of their government revenue is now obligated to pensions, which they're not going to be able to. So do you start taxing people more, or do you cut benefits? What happens here?
I don't think they know what they're doing. They really don't. And I try to stay very close to that situation. They have a pension plan for first of all, Chicago is known to have the worst educational system of any city of any country.
With the highest paid teachers union in the country.
And the highest paid teachers union, making more than $100,000, $112,000 per teacher.
Plus the medical benefits and the health benefits.
They came up with these things at the time of the highest inflation. And the very fact that inflation has turned into deflation didn't make any difference. They're now stuck with a pension plan that's bigger than billions of dollars. And it's, I'm a graduate of the University of Illinois. When I first started, I had a scholarship to the University of Illinois, but I remember numbers. And I remember that 65% of all the money that the university needed to support its classes, its professors, its physical plant came from the state. Today, less than 10%. They have to go out and beg for it from alumni, from whoever, in order to maintain minimum standards that allows them to still be a great university.
And you listen to these people, these leftists that talk about free college and how the cost of education is ridiculous and forgiving student loans and whatnot. But yet, do they ever go after the endowments
well, you're
of Harvard?
talking about that's what Hillary has put into her basic platform, big time.
Of course. But do they ever go after the endowment that Harvard has or Yale or Columbia that's in the billions of dollars? They never go after that, do they?
No.
Do they ever go after the increasing cost of the college education? No. They just go after, we're going to get it to you for free. And we're going to get it from the taxpayers.
This goes back to the whole educational system, which just turned upside down. There used to be technical schools. There used to be craftsmen, whether you were wood shop, plumber, painter,
electrical,
plasterer, latherer, and whatever. Do you know right now what the greatest shortage is in talking to people in my industry and in distribution and manufacturing and utilization? Truck drivers. They were willing to pay $80,000 base pay for truck drivers. They can't get enough truck drivers. They can't get people in the mechanical trades. They're not available because these kids were told the way to be in a position of making money and getting stature is to go from high school to college, no matter what the college was.
And no matter what the degree is. It could be liberal arts or gender studies.
What do you mean? It could be. It was. Right. Liberal arts, it's nothing. I'm not going to...
Social justice.
Yeah. You're supposed to go to college if you're going to be an engineer, you're going to be an accountant,
architect, doctor,
writer, whatever. You learn things that can be useful in your later life. But today, just the idea of going to college and coming out with a liberal arts degree seems to put you on a class all by itself. So
it puts you at McDonald's flipping burgers and paying off your student loans for the next 50 years.
Yeah. Oh no, Hillary's going to excuse all those loans. I mean, they're going to go they're going to go up in the air.
And what about the pension funds that are, we're talking 200, 250, 175% of government revenue, New York, California, Illinois, New Jersey, Connecticut, Kentucky. I mean, this is incredible. This is a huge bubble that I don't hear many people talking about.
Well, you hear people talking about it if they have to pay taxes to support it.
Good point.
When I moved out of Chicago full time, it's been about 25 years ago, I would have had the maintenance of the building in which we had own an apartment. The maintenance cost has gone up 5 times, multiple of 5 times since then, in order to maintain the level of excellence that building offered to the people that had apartments in it.
Continuing on debt and deficits, the Chinese are finding that their banks are 1.7 trillion plus in the red right now. That's another debt bubble that's about to burst. What happens when that goes belly up?
Well, you see, the Chinese have something called a communist dictatorship. Now, they're very smart about it. They also have a very large private element, because the Chinese as a people go back 6,000 years, and they've always been very strong in education and commerce. They're good people. And they'll find a way. I'm not worried about China. I mean, China, you know that China produces more steel than the rest of the world combined? China has enough coal to take care of itself. China has enough aluminum to take care of itself. China is got so much in the way of natural resources, they're holding back so they don't break the bank on the prices, which are already too low to begin with. So I'm not worried about China.
What kind of balance sheet does China have? Do they still have reserves, or do you think those are fudgy accounting numbers as well?
All I can say is China is spending an awful lot of money in buying things up here in the United States. I would say if all the countries spending money in the United States on buildings, on houses, on businesses, the Chinese are doing as good as anybody else. And if they were in such bad shape, and they deliberately kept the yuan down against the dollar because they wanted to be able to be more competitive in the import-export situation. They have the benefit of having a government of dictators who tells their bankers or their various organizations what to do. They always seem to be able to find a way out of their problem.
Okay.
So their gross domestic product growth this year will be 6.5%.
Versus us with our cheating numbers, we're not even at 2%.
That's right.
How about Duetche Bank? Are they about to hit the brink right now?
I think that's greatly exaggerated. The problem of Deutsche Bank is that I think it has a lot to do with Brexit. It has this Brexit thing is just beginning to really be a major mess in the Eurocom, and England and Germany had a great relationship where they work together. Right now, there's an animosity there, and I think Deutsche Bank got themselves. I hate to use the term of a bank in our country, but Deutsche Bank got themselves in the same kind of problem that Wells Fargo got themselves into. They used a lot of money and invested a lot of things they shouldn't have invested in, and now they don't have the money to cover it.
70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. That you're talking 300 million people in this country. That's just astronomical to me.
It is. When I saw that, it shocked me. It's one of the few things that have shocked me. But your figure is absolutely correct. I think this
So you're one auto accident, one catastrophe, one
but you see,
car crash.
But this gets into the whole basic attitude of people today. The government will take care of me. We have more. I don't know why we still use the term food stamps. This is just money given to people. If they don't have a job, here, we'll give you everything. We'll take care of everything. Somehow, you, as well as anybody, know that if you really do a job of finding all the things you can do, if you didn't make any money at all, you could get yourself a nice living just by going to the various agencies and organizations that'll support you.
Yeah. That one really made me scratch my head when I saw that.
It's pretty bad.
We need to take a quick break. We'll be right back with our global outlook, homeland security, and the moment in history. Our quote of the day: if I were in control of the government, you would be in jail.